Hello everyone, this is Pomon bringing you a tier list of Gaiden units. So today we're going to be going through the units in Fire Emblem Gaiden, Fire Emblem 2. A game I've played in this channel before, and I've also played the Echoes, which is the remake, many times, so I think I'm knowledgeable enough that I feel, comfortable to be doing these kind of things. Why Gaiden? Why Gaiden? Because I'm more or less going by the oldest series I have, and if I thought about it, I don't think doing an FE7 tier list is a good idea, considering I haven't played hard mode yet, or the same goes for Awakening. It's my first time playing Lunatic. I'm currently having that series, so yeah, I don't know if it would be such a good idea because I don't know the game in its full difficulty. Now Gaiden is a game that doesn't really provide a lot of difficulty options. It has an easy mode and a hard mode, and a normal mode. Normal mode is what you have enabled by default, and on easy mode simply units gain twice as much experience. I think Gaiden is not the easiest game to play, but I'm not going to come here and tell you that it's impossible, because only with my experience from Echoes, and Echoes is, Echoes added enough changes to be considered its own thing. On my first experience with actual Gaiden, I was able to complete the game on an Iron Man style, without, resetting at any point and letting people die just by reviving them through revival fountain uses, which is a feature in the game itself. The game is not difficult, but it's also an old game, and it shows in some aspects. I think the word is merciless. It can be merciless at times because it just doesn't care enough for using experience to hold back. So it throws a lot of bullshit at you. It's endearing in its own way, but yeah. There are some obstacles to go over when playing Gaiden, and to be honest, the first unit we have to review, because this goes in alphabetical order, Arm, might just be one of the best suited to go over said obstacles. So one of the changes from Gaiden to Echoes was the growth rates. Growth rates in Gaiden, I think, are on average the lowest in the franchise. If a character has a 30% growth, they count themselves as, very, very, very lucky. Most people have growth rates between 10 to 20%. At times, they will have a 25 or a 30, and yeah, it will be like a very, very strong stat for them. Alm is a unit that actually benefits from decent growth and gets also an automatic promotion. Like, he promotes immediately due to certain events in the story, so you don't have to reach level requirements with him. Not that he would have any trouble, because he's one of your strongest sword users in the game. Swords are very good on the early game due to the existence of the Levin sword. So Alm really from the very beginning doesn't have any trouble, First of all, he just uses the default sword, takes care of some wounds, and is basically your best unit for the early game. Then you get to the Levin sword, and yeah, some other competition will appear, but overall Alm will remain like a very, very, very solid unit that is also forcefully deployed on every map. So that's a very easy way for him to pile up more and more and more experience, even without things like exclusive combat arts or his promotion coming decently late for the game. Alm is just good. Good movement too, good strength, good defense. So for you to not have to, worry about the Lord a lot. I'd say easily place Alm on S tier. One of the strongest overall lords maybe he doesn't break the game as hard as other people, like, you know, more recent avatars like Byleth or Robin or stuff like that. Yeah, he doesn't have the tools to become an absolute monster, but just by virtue of his stats, getting to a point where he is the only unit able to double Beagles, or even to not get doubled about Beagles. Effective weaponry against terrors is also very helpful in the form of Falcon at the end of the game. The only unit that you can finish the game with, even if that's, you know, more of a story reason and less of a, you know, actual unit thing. Alm is a very solid combat option. It's true his combat is never going to be incredible, because, you know, no reclass at all. He is always going to have that 5 movement. But in Gaiden, having 5 movement, considering the limitations of most of the infantry, is actually, you know, plausible. So I'd say Alm deserves the S tier, definitely. Next, still on the A, is a unit that, you know, it's a bit difficult to rank considering it's a villager. It's Atlas, the sole villager you get on Celica's side of the story. So Atlas is a late joining villager, and that is already kind of playing against him, because the good thing about villagers in Gaiden, because promotions have you catch up to the bases of the class you are promoted into, you want to reclass as soon as possible into a, you know, into a superior tier class. So the best idea for you to, you know, if you want to invest on a villager, you want to reclass as soon as possible into a first tier class if you want to consider a villager like a 0 tier class, and then into a second tier, and then into a third tier. Probably the best class universally to turn a villager into is Mercenary, to go for Dread Fighter, which is a very, very, very good class. But Atlas starting as a villager when you are already a bit deep into Act 3, yeah, it's harsh. It's harsh. Because at that point you basically have 2 options. On the map of Gaiden, you can either go to the right and battle Geese and his people, or you can completely skip the Geese part and go to the north to the Mila Temple. But Atlas will not be able to join you if you do that. If you skip Geese, both Atlas and the White Wings that have joined you at that point, Palla and Catria, will abandon your team, because you are not going to help rescue Est or Atlas's brother. I think it was his little brother that is being held captive by Greed. That means Atlas basically has to wait for a promotion until he is able to beat Greed and then go to the Mila Temple, or you backtrack. You backtrack and you go to the Dragon Shrine. But during those movements, more enemies are going to spawn, and they are going to make things more difficult. Not to speak of the mandatory battles that you always find at the exit of his village against zombies. So promoting Atlas is already a pain. It's true, he's a villager that comes at level 5, so he already has enough level to be immediately promoted into any class. And that is nice. But yeah, it's not like he provides anything insane. I'm pretty sure he has one of the strongest, if not the strongest, strength growth in the game. But that, coupled with some low defenses and some very poor speed, basically makes him a bit of a crystal cannon. If you want to go for the mage route and maybe try to one-shot most of the enemies with Atlas, you can try that. If you want to go for Archer, that's very good on Echoes because of Hunter's Volley being a very broken combat art, but on Gaiden there's no Hunter's Volley, so yeah. Bow Knight Atlas is really not everything you can build him up to be. Yeah, as much as it pains me, I think that with this game, you know, with the map in Gaiden being so hard to traverse, and Atlas has been so easily outclassed by everyone around him, I'm going to have to painfully put him on F tier. So we have an S and an F tier to begin with. Yeah, I don't think I'm even being that harsh on Atlas. I actually kind of like Atlas, but yeah, he just deserves to be there. So sorry. And yeah. Next unit, B. For the B is Boey. Now Boey is a character I really like, but a unit that doesn't exactly shine in the context of Gaiden. Boey, as opposed to Celica and May, that join basically at the same time at the start of Chapter 2, which is Act 2, the beginning of Celica's story. Celica is supposed to be like a weird mage, you know, can use physical and magical damage, is a bit, you know, well balanced, very fast, doesn't have the best strength growth, but comes with decent enough magic on base that she can do her job. And then May is a crystal cannon, will only go for offense, but Boey is supposed to be your tanky mage. Now, being a tanky mage is not exactly a good idea on Gaiden, because Boey traits that tankiness, which is distributed on both defense and luck, because there's no reliable resistance growth on Gaiden. I think the highest is Tatiana's at 5%. I think that's the highest resistance growth on the game. Boey basically, yeah, just traits that kind of useless only physical defense for his very low speed, and really even he has some strength to, you know, speak of. Like I'm guessing higher than Celica's. It might even be around 25-30% growth, because of his base being just decent enough and him getting doubled all the time. It's really not worth it to use Boey. Also, mages are not good for countering enemies because they will always auto-equip their lightest weapon, which is fire. So that means Boey will be not doing a lot in retaliation, probably striking the enemy only once and taking one extra damage because he is using fire, and using magic in this game consumes your own HP. Yeah, just because of magic consuming your own HP, I think the concept of a tanky mage is already kind of out of the way. Still, Boey does come at a point in the story where you really need to use all of your tools possible, so I think putting him at the same level as Atlas is a bit unfair, because Boey can do things, and he does have something clearly above May, and that's that he has a promotion, because May has to reach level 20 to promote in Gaiden, and that's very, 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 very high. So if you want to use a mage on the long run, Boey will be able to learn Thunder, then maybe his strength will be enough to, you know, strike with Thunder hard enough so that he can help you at 3 range, and then later down the line I think he learns Sayete, so he is useful, he can be useful, and he could theoretically, if you put enough effort in him, promote into a sage, which is more than I can say about Atlas. So I think even though he's a piece per unit, F tier is a bit too low. I'm going to put him on D tier. Just due to pure availability. From the very beginning in Celica you have Boey as an option. So Boey will be able to, you know, put his little contributions in there for the whole game, and that's something to appreciate. Speaking of things to appreciate, Catria. Catria is very good. Catria is very good. Catria comes as a Pegasus Knight that can promote into a... What is it in this game? It's a Falcon, right? There's no Wyverns, it's just Pegasus that promote into Falcons. I'm pretty sure. Yes, I'm definitely sure. Okay. She comes at the same time as Palla, which is at the very beginning, basically first map for Celica on Act 3. And that's, you know, approaching the mid game, and at this point you are really hurting for a flyer on Celica's side, because she's going to be encountering a lot of difficult terrain for the remainder of the game for Celica. Basically, there's going to be desert maps, then there's going to be a mountain map, a map with barricades on Mila's temple, and then the swamp, and the swamp, and the swamp. So Celica really wants a flyer. Actually, she probably wants both of the flyers, both Catria and Palla. Palla is closer to promotion, while Catria is more, you know, has a better future if you want to invest on her. She has better growth, but she also doesn't exactly have it easy to reach promotion, even on Mila's temple. If you want to reach promotion for Catria on Mila's temple, you are going to have to put some big effort in there. Still is doable, it's much more doable than any other units. I think promotion is level 12 and Catria comes at level 5. I'm pretty sure it's either level 5 or level 6. So yeah, okay, 6 levels, not easy to reach, but still could be doable. Gaiden does provide you with basically infinite grinding if you choose to do so, and Catria is not going to be one of those units that has a lot of travel. And if she is able to promote, Falconets in this game do effective damage against terrors, and that for Alm is good, but for Celica is absolutely huge, because Celica fights many more. That's what I wanted to say. Many more terrors than Alm on her side. Basically every enemy she will fight on Act 4 is going to be a terror or next to it. So having effective damage on a flyer that ignores terrain is just incredible. I remember using Catria. I think I didn't even get to promote her, or if I promoted her it was like on the Lost Forest, so I didn't actually invest enough to have an early promotion on Catria. She was still one of my best units, easily. Triangle attack is also very usable in this game due to you being able to deploy every unit you have available. So, you know, Est will always be deployable until the end game. Well, yeah, you will have to sacrifice a deployment slot for Est, but that does mean it's very easy to force, you know, criticals from Catria happening all the way. She does struggle a bit with tankiness compared to Palla, but she also comes with an Angel Ring, which is a very good option for her because it ups her luck by 20 and doubles her. If she gains a stat on level up, she will get 2 instead of 1. So yeah, it's a big combination for her, makes her into a very dodgy type of enemy, can easily deal with very difficult enemies like gargoyles or even beagles. I honestly think for what she does on her route compared to for what Alm does on his route, and this might look a bit crazy, I think she's better. She's definitely a steer. But I think she's better than Alm. Yeah, I absolutely think so. Just the movement. It's true that Alm has the availability. Alm is playable during one more act, basically. But once you reach Act 3, Alm is hurting a bit in terms of the other people can already promote, and now it's not Alm's game anymore. There's other people that have to do things, while Catria is basically set for the game to be hers once she gets going. So yeah, I think Catria is overall better. Alm might be a more consistent unit, but if you use Catria well enough, there's things that simply only Catria can do. So yeah, there she is. Catria S tier over Alm. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Okay. Celica. Celica. I love Celica. In case you don't know, or you don't know this channel or anything, I've said many times that Celica is my favorite lord in the series. Not only due to her character and her design, which are obviously reasons to like her, but also because as a unit I think she's unique. Both magical and physical lord that is focused on a lot of speed, but also gets the healing on promotion. Is kind of like her own Gaiden in the sense that she comes with very high bases that allow her to smurf the early game, but then on late game she starts falling off like immediately. She does get some very good spells down the line, so she can more or less compensate by virtue of having Thunder and then Ragnarok and things like that. If you don't want to risk breaking the game, then Ragnarok is not the best option. But yeah, Celica is weird in the good way. Definitely not as good a unit as Alm. Alm can solo maps. On his side, Celica can definitely not solo maps. Having swords on retaliation against some enemies does make her, very dodgy and doesn't lose HP when getting attacked and things like that. But also she doesn't retaliate on range, so it's not the best. That switch between physical and magical damage, while very interesting, can also, be one of Celica's lowest points at times. I mean, she's definitely better than Boey by quite a lot, but I don't know quite where to put her. She also does fall off a lot, and her promotion, unlike Alm's, her promoted class has very low bases, so when she promotes she doesn't gain shit, like she's not very good. Also her strength growth is piss poor at 20%. They actually gave her like an incredibly high strength growth in comparison on Echoes. I think it went up to 40 because, but 20% is just very low, so she at some point she starts struggling to damage enemies and she becomes more of a healing and thunder type of unit, a supportive unit. Instead that she's basically free, like your free supporting unit that is never going to have any trouble promoting, so in that sense she's already decent. But movement is very poor, doesn't have a good weapon like Alm does. Her spells, while good, there are better people to use spells. I still think because of her availability and, just being able to heal, I put her on B, but not higher. Not higher. For movement is just a bad thing. It's just a bad thing to have. So yeah. B tier Celica, am I being a bit too generous? It's either B or C. She's definitely not on A tier. I think B is fair. For the early game she's very good. So I think just because of her early game being so good, I think she deserves being there. It's true that on the desert maps she's useless. But then she proved to be pretty good for me against geese and people like that. So yeah, I think that's fair. Okay. So next we go to an Alm unit. Seems like we're going back and forth with this. Well, no, because we just did a lot of Celica units in a row, so what am I saying? An Alm unit, Clair. Clair is basically the only Pegasus Knight that you are going to get on Alm's side. And due to that you would be thinking, yeah, okay, so she must be very good because Pegasus Knights are the only type of flyer. That's basically the only flyer that Alm is going to get for the whole game. She's actually not that good. Because Alm does have some difficult terrain maps, but that difficult terrain normally plays to his advantage because of it being forest. So a player not being able to take advantage of that terrain, it actually plays against you. And also, Clair just doesn't deal damage, like she doesn't, and her bonus damage against terrors is not that good on Alm's side, because on the end game, he's not going to be battling any terror except for the dragons on the map where he gets trapped. I did try using Clair, and she was my first death on the Iron Man. She's probably the unit I have the least experience with in Gaiden, but looking at her growths, I can say with no shame that she's probably not worth the effort of giving her a lot of levels. I think the base strength for Falconite is not good enough for her to be able to do anything, because she's going to at maximum go like 2 or 3 points over that base after she promotes. She just doesn't have the growth to go over that much more on average. It's true, you can always invest every strength fountain on Clair or something insane, but overall I don't think she's the best suited unit for Alm's side. I think if Clair joined at the same time she does on Alm, but on Celica, she would be very good. She would be very good. Not as good as Catria, but comparable to some point. Even an easy A tier or something. But as she is, not even the flyer utility can save her, in my opinion, because her combat is just so bad. And with this game not having any flying utility like rescuing, or there's no villagers to visit, there is like, I can count over the top of my head like 3 or 4 doors to open in the whole game. And on Alm's side, it's like, I don't think she's worth it. So I'm going to put her on C tier. I think she's just too weak on base and doesn't grow well enough to justify her use. She's better than people like Boey, still, by being early game, and theoretically she has a lot of speed. If you give her the riders, she could be killing some cavaliers, but there are just better options for that. So I think C tier is the highest I can put her at. C tier, is it good enough? Yeah, C tier is good. In my opinion, S to B tier is like units you can... S and A is like units you can call good. B is units you can call circumstantially good or good at some point, but overall not that good. And then C and D are, average to bad units, and F tier is like, if this is your first time playing the game, don't use them. I actually tried to use Atlas, and I used him as a knight and tried to promote him into a baron. I remember. Don't do it. It's not worth it. But there are other people that are worth it, and one of them is Clive. Clive is good. I'm not afraid to say it. I know Clive gets a lot of shit because of his speed being kind of low on base and his resistance being basically the worst it can be. But it's not like he's an armor knight on a cavalry. No. He is a very solid unit, and he has something over Mathilda that continuously gets overlooked, and that's just joining time. Because joining time for Clive means he only has 1 level to get into Paladin. And once he gets into Paladin, he's actually going to get a lot more opportunities to get levels before you get Mathilda as a level 1 Paladin. Am I saying Clive is better than Mathilda? I hear that argument a lot lately, and I don't think so, honestly. I think Mathilda's growths on luck and speed yet give her a dodge tanking capability that Clive just wishes he could have. Clive is very solid, and due to Cavalier having so many promotions, because they first promote into Paladin and then into Gold Knight, if you just give him levels, the base stats for those promotions will keep him relevant for the whole game. So he provides very strong combat, utility by using lances, which is something, you know, you struggle a bit with. You may have turned one of your villagers into a cavalier, but I'd bet that Clive is probably better than most of your cavaliers along the run, unless it's like, what, Kliff? Because Kliff is good at everything. Yeah, Clive, yes, solid unit, good unit. I think it can be called a good unit. He's the worst of the best. The one good unit that you kind of have doubts about, but he joins so early and he has so many utility. With a Rider's Bane, he can clear gigantic groups of enemies, just completely decimate them. And with a Steel Lance, he can do very solid damage. His speed gets mocked a lot, but after a while, most of the enemies that are fast, like very fast, Clive is going to either avoid or have enough defense to tank. And some of the other enemies, like witches or generals, are going to turn into such slow things that Clive is going to be able to double them. And Clive is normally able to one round the witch and have absolutely no trouble with it. So I think Clive A? Yeah, Clive A is fair. Clive A is fair. Not an S tier. Definitely not an S tier. He's probably going to end up the lowest in A tier. This is an order tier list, by the way, so the ones to the left are better than the ones to the right. Catria over Anne, as you saw me do. Yeah, that sounds okay. Alright, that's the end of the C, and we go into the D with Deen. Deen... Now there are two ways to speak about Deen. We can either talk about Deen as a, Deen in a vacuum, Deen in perfect conditions, or we can address the point to Deen, which is he is the... I don't remember the archetype, I'm actually playing FE1, so I know they are going to appear at some point, but I know it's the archetype where you can choose one unit or the other, not both of them. And you have to decide between Deen, this guy, or Sonya, this girl. Deen is a mercenary, not a mercenary, a myrmidon actually, which is the second tier for mercenary, and Sonya is a mage. In my opinion, the decision is much easier on Gaiden than it is on Echoes, because on Echoes at least Sonya has the possibility to promote fairly soon. She is high level and promotion is on level 14, so you might be able to promote her by Mila's temple, and then Sonya can do some work for you and she can be a solid unit, filler unit for a mage, something like that. But on Gaiden she just doesn't have that option, reaching level 20 for a mage is going to be very difficult. So I think Deen is in a better situation, and having a mercenary is just solid. Mercenaries are just solid units. Once he promotes to a Dread Fighter, he will become very good at killing mages. And because basically Dread Fighters get the damage they take with magic gets reduced by half. So that's just very good. And mages can be a big menace in Gaiden with the very low growths on resistance. I feel a bit bad about talking about Deen because I didn't choose Deen. I actually picked Sonya over him because I was playing an Iron Man and all of my mercenaries were doing very well, while my mages had just taken a blow. I lost May. So yeah, I actually picked Sonya over him. But I still think Deen is better. And even though he's definitely not your best mercenary, he's simply a mercenary. Mercenaries are good. So a solid unit that comes with certain disadvantages. Maybe at this point, if you work hard enough, there are better candidates for Dread Fighter. Better than Clive? I don't think so. Better than Celica? Yeah. I don't know if I want to put you on A tier. He can do some job, but the thing is, if you kill him, you get the Brave Sword. And I really like that, because I really like getting the Brave Sword before Greed. Basically, the way you choose between Sonya and Deen in Gaiden is you have to battle. You have to choose between battling one or the other, and the one you battle will, give you a map, the drops, experience, and everything. Then you will do a map that is always going to be the same, Greed, and after Greed, they will join you. Now what happens here is you always get the weapon they have, because the one you didn't get as a drop, they will have in their inventory after Greed. But Sonya's drop is very bad, it's a shield, a steel shield. And it can be useful on the next map, but it's not going to be crazy good. While getting Deen's Brave Sword is, in my opinion, going to make your life much easier, and I would go as far as to say it literally saved my Iron Man. So even if it's a bit of bias, I don't think I'm going to get you on A tier just because of the advantages you can get by killing you. Getting the Brave Sword is a big thing. So not recruiting you is a big thing, using you is not that big a thing. Still better than Celica though, so highest on B tier. I think that's fair. He's good. He just comes a bit late. He just comes a bit late. There are better mercenaries, there are better units. I think B tier is fair. B tier is fair. Celica does do a lot, so that's a tier for, units that do good. Just not that good. Okay, let me take a small break here, because my throat is dying. Alright, took the opportunity to check the hour, and yeah, I can already tell this is going to be a short video, of course. But we have come to the D. Well, the D was already Deen, but now we have to speak about Delthea or Dyute, whichever you prefer. In Gaiden she's called Dyute, but she was renamed Delthea on the localizations. I like Delthea. I actually think Delthea is a very usable unit for the S archetype that normally can give you some headaches for training. Delthea has one of the easiest classes to train, which is Mage. They are normally able to take advantage of low resistance of enemies, and that means training them is not that difficult. Delthea is a female mage, so promoting her would mean you have to get her to level 20, and she starts at level 3 or something ridiculously low. So promoting her, in my opinion, is simply out of the way from the very beginning. I'm not going to promote her, so let's just take advantage of her growths. And if you think about her in that sense, her bases are very solid, and her growths are going to make it so that she does a better job on endgame than Mei would. And it's not like Mei is going to take advantage of joining early, because she's not going to promote either. So you just have two units that will never promote. The one with better bases and better growth is just better. And I think that's simply Delthea. Low level allows her to gain experience more easily. She has Aura, which is a very hard hitting spell at the cost of being very heavy and lowering her HP a lot. She is fragile as all hell, but if you encounter a Baron or something like that, probably 2 shots of Aura from Delthea is all you're going to need to take it out. So for a trainee unit and for a, supposedly weak unit joining at the end of the game, Delthea is incredible. So I'd say I mean, she does join very late. So I don't know if putting her very high is fair, but she definitely is better than Clair. She's definitely around this tier. Not better than Clive, better than Celica. Yeah, better than Celica. What she can do from the point she joins onwards is more than Celica does on early game and the rest of the game combined. Better than Deen? Let's not go that far. As I said, she promotes at level 20. If you promote her, I'm guessing by giving her swords, she can do just massive physical damage, and if you give her like a very good sword, but that's just so much work to get a unit that still is going to have survivability problems and that, in my opinion, doesn't even have the best speed or something like that. You should just think of Delthea as a unit that is going to stay the same but get stronger with each level. She will have a reliable luck and strength growth. She will gain some speed, and that's about it. That's all you need for her to be solid. Solid enough to surpass Celica, in my opinion. And under Deen just seems fair to me. B tier is good. And speaking of trainees, we have the one and only Est. The unit that I've always said is not really a Est in Gaiden or in Echoes. I think the true Est of Echoes and the true Est of Gaiden is Delthea. The trainee unit that, comes with low enough stats that, and high enough growth that training her seems like, an investment to endgame. Well, Est is, to be honest, pretty solid, like just much better than Clair in any sense. Yeah, okay, you could talk about Clair aiming for promotion, but still, Est is going to do so much better. Being able to deploy every unit on every chapter means feeding her kills by using triangle attacks is actually pretty viable, considering the other two units you have to deploy are Catria and Palla. And let me tell you, Catria and Palla are very easy to choose to deploy on Celica's side of the story, because you are always wanting to deploy Catria and Palla. And not only does she get the triangle attack, she also provides triangle attacks to the other sisters. So she could be seen as a buff to Catria and Palla to make them even more consistent. Reaching Falcon 8 is going to be very difficult if you use her. I'd say even getting it by the Lost Forest is pushing it a lot. I don't think, I'm pretty sure I never got to promote Est at all, but I have to admit she's solid. More solid than Deen? Yes. More solid than Deen. A tier? Nah, she joins a bit too late to be A tier. She joins exactly at the same time as Deen. And I think what Deen provides in pure combat, she provides in that, utility of yes. First of all, movement is much more important on Celica's side, so yeah, being a flyer on Celica's is enough to get B tier. I think that's where I want to put her. A tier would be a bit too high, so that's okay. I guess the B tier, who knew? Alright, Forsyth. Or as he's known in Gaiden, Force. Force is a soldier. Soldier, that means he will promote into a knight and into a general, immediately facing some competition for his role, which is supposedly tankiness, by Lukas and Clive, which are probably your tankiest. And well, let's not even speak about Alm, who's both tanky and fast. There's really not a lot that Force can provide. He's supposed to have good offensive growths to, you know, counterbalance Lukas's more defensive growths. And they even turn him into like a green armor on echoes to make it even more obvious that they are supposed to be the Cain and Abel of armors. But I don't see the comparison. Lukas is just so much better than Force that it's not even funny. Force has trouble reaching the action because of his poor movement. His movement is never going to get better. On promotions he will get very good stats because his double promotion is First Knight then Baron. But even so, I feel like Barons are so overrated in this game. Even with Warp, they just have so much trouble with most of the enemies. Like Bownettes are going to make a mockery of them all the time by dodging all the time, escaping. Yeah, coward AI by the enemies is also a big disadvantage for Barons because when the enemies are hurt, they are going to run away, and if an enemy runs away, the Baron is not going to be able to chase them. While things like Dread Fighters, Falconets don't have that problem, and Mages are basically thought out to, you know, kill on the first round. So none of the units we've talked about this far really face this problem of battling an enemy and then not being able to finish the thing. Feeding kills to Force then, you know, as a consequence becomes difficult. Yes, not the best unit, Force. I know he's a meme and all that, but yeah, Soldier is not the best class, and out of the Soldiers I think it's fair to say that Force is the worst of them all. I did train him quite a lot when I used him, and of course, as just any unit in any early Fire Emblem, as I'm getting to learn in FE1, getting to promotion is going to provide a good boost. But Force is never going to be a good fighting unit. So no good combat, no good movement, no good rank. I'm going to have to give you F tier. And I think, honestly, what I don't know if I should put you over or under Atlas, because Atlas's availability is poorer with all the trouble you have to get to promote him. But Atlas can become a mercenary, and if he becomes a mercenary, then I think Atlas immediately when reclassing to mercenary is much better than you. So yeah, just because of Atlas being able to adapt to what you need, I think Force is there. F tier for Force, yeah, F tier for Force. Okay, F, then goes G. G with Genny, that's Genny, not me. Yeah, in her, but that's Genny. Genny is a healer. Genny is a healer, the first healer, pure healer we're going to talk about here. At the start of the game, on Celica's side, you are going to have to rely on Genny for healing. And as the game advances, Genny, if she takes enough kills with Nosferatu, because in this game healers don't get experience by healing, they have to get kills, will get physique and invocations. The invocations from Genny, I've always thought they are good. They are probably the best invocations you can get because they are soldiers, and soldiers have an advantage, a weird advantage, a bit difficult to explain, but it happens the same thing that happens with that I just told you about Force. They have poor movement, so they won't suicide into the enemy. They will make a convenient barrier for you to approach. You know, they will push against the enemy while you follow behind. Meanwhile, the other two invocations that you can do, which are Dread Fighters by Silque and Pegasi by Tatiana, they are just a bit too strong and have too much mobility, so they will normally go directly into the enemy and suicide, and so they disappear in one turn. but soldiers move conveniently slow. So I find myself relying a lot on Genny's invocations, and especially on her physique. Her healing utility is just off the charts, and for late game it's true you start getting some people that maybe can do her job better than her, but if you give her enough kills, and killing with Nosferatu is strangely not that difficult in Gaiden, I think it's much easier to feed some kills to Genny than to invest at the same time on both Celica and May and Boey. You probably are going to bench either May or Boey, and then you can, give some love to Genny, and Genny can get to be a pretty nice saint. You also don't get any other saint in this route. Like, Genny is just solid. She doesn't have to fear competition from Shade, which is the DLC unit you can get in Echoes. That is also a saint. So yeah, Genny is just solid, and physique is physique. Physique is physique. I probably have used physique on every turn ever since Genny got it on Gaiden. So she has to be A tier because she's better than B, but she's not S. As a support unit, she deserves to be A tier. And for what she brings to the table, and just purely because of availability and what she does, I think she's better than Clive. Yeah, that's going to be it. Genny over Clive. Yeah. I feel comfortable saying that. Genny is better than Clive. Alright. Gray is a villager. The first villager from Mount we are going to talk about. The villagers are more or less the same. All of them can reclass into either a mercenary, a mage, a soldier, a cavalier, or an archer. So that's 5 options for there. And Gray has a very, very clear and set path. His growth for speed and his pace for speed are not that great. So if you promote him into a mercenary, he's suddenly going to compensate that speed while keeping his strong strength. Even if a bit redundant to say that. And yeah, he just does a very good job, doesn't have resistance, doesn't matter. The Dread Fighter will compensate. His movement will progressively get better. He will get to use the Lemming Sword if he has any trouble dealing damage on late game. You should normally have a mercenary to Dread Fighter in your army on arm side, I feel. And I think Gray is the unit that always wants to be that. He can work as an archer decently well. As a soldier, he is a soldier, so he's bad. As a cavalier, he is like Clive but worse. And as a mage, he is piss poor. So, without counting the options that you are never going to use him in, because why would you use him in a bad class? Without considering those. Just by virtue of mercenary and potentially maybe some archer utility, I think he's good, but I don't think he's better than Clive. I think he needs a bit of investment and Clive just doesn't. And his growths are not that good. He's supposed to be like your early game good villager because he comes ready to be promoted, unlike the other two. But yeah, he just doesn't do that well, and it's true he could be a myrmidon around the time you get Mathilda. That even so, yeah, just being able to become a Dread Fighter is not good enough for me to put you over Clive, so let's put you there. Okay, well, save for download. Can I adjust this a little bit? I like this, alright. I think this is okay. So, next unit is Jesse. Jesse. Jesse's a mercenary. And the problem is exactly that he's a mercenary, not a myrmidon. He comes after Atlas, so quite late after the Desert Fort, so basically the next map after him is the map where you are going to kill either Sonya or Deen. And Jesse is low on level. He would like to go, he would like to get some levels, get promoted into a Myrmidon, then get a lot of levels and get promoted into a Dread Fighter. At this point in the game, you are immediately flooded with Saber and Kamui that are obviously already going to be Myrmidons if you've been paying any attention to them, and you also get Deen, who's already a Myrmidon. In fact, it's possible that you even, if you want to make the trip to promote Atlas or to promote something before going to Grid, it's possible that Saber and Kamui are already aiming for Dread Fighter. And here comes Jesse, that's just a mercenary, and in my opinion, it's a bit too low. Now, by virtue of being a mercenary, it's not like he's bad. He has good speed, he has good luck, he has good skill, he can do things, and I actually think I had him on the endgame because so many people died that he was forcefully deployed, and I was surprised at him being able to actually do damage to some endgame people. But the fact remains that are you really going to deploy 4 Dread Fighters? Because if you are, that's basically, yes, it doesn't even have to be one of them. Probably your 4 best options for Dread Fighters are Deen, Saber, Kamui, and Atlas. To be honest, I think on the long run, Atlas could be a better option as a Dread Fighter if you really want to invest. Still, yes, it has some things over Atlas. Immediate availability as mercenary just takes less time to get promoted. You don't have to backtrack to the promotion if you want to go to the next map. He will get enough experience, and by Milastri he will become a Myrmidon, and then you take your sweet time, and yeah, maybe you can even turn him into a Dread Fighter. Maybe you can. But he's not great. So I think he's definitely worse than Deen. What I don't know if is, should I put him B or C tier? C tier, B tier. I mean, yes, he can do stuff that's better than Celica's. His availability is worse than you, but he's definitely over Clair. Is he over Celica? Purely as a unit, what he's able to do and the units he's able to defeat, he might be, because he has good growths. Even without a lot of promotions, he might be able to hang in there. But I think Celica's utility, just by healing and thunder, and Ragnarok later. Ragnarok does do a lot. And I haven't even taken the Blessed Sword. Well, he could be the one using the Blessed Sword. I guess yes, he is better than Celica. Better than Dyute, I don't think I would say that. Better than Dyute. Yeah, better than Dyute. He's also better than Dyute. So he's just under Deen. Okay, yeah. With Deen's disadvantages for getting him, I think putting both of them together is fair, more or less. I'm putting a lot of people on B tier. I don't know if I love that, but yeah, that's how it's going to go. So yeah, there he is. Alright, so that was Jesse. Who are you? Who's that? Not even joking, I don't know who that is. Can I... Oh, Kamui, okay. I just opened to see the name of the good trick. Good trick. If you don't recognize the image, then you just open, and normally the name of the image is pretty descriptive. Kamui. Kamui is good. Kamui is a very solid unit. Comes high level. Not as good as Saber. Still very good. Celica side of the story, so he's going to be battling a lot of mages, which is good for whenever he becomes a Dread Fighter. About becoming a Dread Fighter as soon as Grief, he's going to have a harder time than Saber, but I think it's still doable if you backtrack for Atlas or stuff like that. So yeah, it's not like Kamui is going to have a bad time. Just very solid unit that comes at a good level early on in Act 2. Yeah, by the time you reach, you can probably get him to be a Myrmidon on the Dragon Shrine, and then it's over. If you get him to Myrmidon on Dragon Shrine, you have an incredible unit there. As good as Alm or Catria to clear the game? No, but A tier, solid A tier. Over or under Genny? The healing from Genny or the battle prowess from Kamui? I'd go with Genny over Kamui, but it's close. It's close. Have to admit it's close. Right. Well, that's good because I'm going to lose another. I don't know exactly how I'm going to cut this. So maybe nah, that's okay. That's okay. This is okay. All right. So next we go with Cliff. Cliff is one of the villagers on Alm's side, and unlike Tobin and Grey, which you kind of you can make more or less the same arguments for both of them, Cliff is better. Cliff is better because he has everything going for him. Better growths, good bases on things that are very difficult to level, like a good base resistance that can be deceptively key when defeating certain enemies. Very high luck at 10, so he has some strangely high dodging. Very good speed growth. So if he becomes a mercenary, he can be a literal speeding bullet. And if he becomes a mage, he's going to be like one of your fastest mages with a very good spell list containing Excalibur. I think Cliff is overrated and still incredibly good. I wouldn't put him S tier, but combat is better than Kamui. And yeah, to be honest, I think his combat is so good that it puts him over Genny. It's true he's a bit hard to promote compared to the other villagers. He comes at a lower level. I think he's level 2, then Tobin is 3, and Grey is 5, and you have to reach level 5, so he needs some work to be done if you want to promote on the Silque shrine. But yeah, Cliff is yes, very good. Excalibur having high critical, you put him on the right position and he will clear entire waves of enemies. He's absolutely disgusting. I've tried him as a bow knight on Echoes, where I don't think he changes that much as a unit, and he was also disgusting. Mercenary can also be disgusting, even if you're a bit like going too hard on his strengths by going on that speed. I think mage is probably the best option because you want an early mage, and in this game you don't have Fae and you don't have another option for a mage until Luthier, so it's either him or Tobin. And while Tobin can be a very good early game mage, Cliff is the one mage that is going to last you for the end game. So yeah, Cliff, very solid unit, highest A tier. I don't think he's good enough to be considered an S tier, but I feel very comfortable putting him there over Genny. Availability is more or less the same, so yeah, the same, basically the same, chapter 1. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Good shit, Cliff. Like, he's just very good. Okay, let me see. Who are you? Leon. Leon, okay. Leon the Archer. I thought it was an armor because he looks very similar to Lukas, right? To the right of him. And yeah, but no, that's Leon. Leon is an archer. The one archer you get unless you reclass Atlas. So due to that you would think, oh, that must mean he is very good and all that. He is very good on echoes. On Gaiden I don't think he's that good. He is solid, he can do damage, but his final promotion doesn't really do anything because Bow Knight has a lot of mobility but not flyer mobility, and yeah, yes, cavalry mobility is not good on Celica because of all the sand and swamp maps you find. Yeah, it's true he has a lot of range with the bows and everything. He can be very good against gargoyles and even decent against dragons. He's definitely a solid unit, but I don't know if good enough. You know what? I think I'm going to put Celica down here, and I think I'm going to put Delthea here. Because I think this tier is going to get a bit clamped. I'm going to put Leon here. Under Jesse, over Jesse. Over Jesse, that just due to being the only one with Archer utility. Over Deen. No, there. And I think this is going to be better because, yeah, Celica and Delthea, yeah, they definitely, B tier is a bit too high. And Celica is very similar to Clair, in a way. What they can provide, yeah, like, yes, good for certain occasions, but they are there. And then Delthea is just the problem of the availability plus how fragile she is. So I think that's better. It makes for a more evenly distributed tier list, and now B and C tier are just, you know, average to bad units, and D is where the very bad begins. Yeah, so who was I talking about? Leon over Jesse, yeah, because he has the opportunity to become a sniper. But yeah, as I said, after a sniper, Bow Knight is going to give him range, but not that much more. Yeah, he's just going to be trying to kill some enemies that fly, but the enemies that fly are going to be not that common on Celica's side. Or on any side, really. Enemies that fly are just not that present. Once again, I will mention this because it's very important. On Echoes, much better because Hunter's Volley. Hunter's Volley is a combat art that allows you to always strike twice. And Leon does struggle a bit with, you know, speed, so he can benefit from that. I just found his stats to be a bit too balanced for my liking. I would have liked it if he was either tanky and able to enemy face some ranged enemies, or just very, you know, with a lot of offensive stats. Because archers in this game have 1-2 range, so being tanky wouldn't be a joke at all. But he doesn't have any of those things, so he relies a bit on being, you know, cheap damage and helpful in certain situations. Still, that help, I think, puts him over Jesse. Solidly enough, yeah. No. I'm going to, yeah. Here. Over S2. How helpful he is and how long he sticks with you, yeah, over S. That's good enough. And now I feel better about it. Now I like what I'm saying. Luka. Or Lukas. Luka is a soldier that joins you in chapter 1 as soon as your villagers. So while your villagers still have to get promoted, Luka is going to get promotion that already is getting him closer to that knight promo. He's normally, because he's quite the solid unit, a bit tankier than Arm, can strike very hard with the lance, doesn't have speed. At some point he will stop doubling and then he will start getting doubled by anything, because the doubling requirement in Gaiden is very low. You only need one more speed to double. Luka is just very early game-ish. The idea for you to use Luka is to promote him as soon as possible. If by the Deliverance Headquarters you can get him to Knight, then you are on a good track. And then you just rush and try to get Baron just after Mathilda, and you actually got probably the solidest Baron you can get in this game. Because the trouble you are going through with a soldier of any of the villagers is definitely not worth your time. Still, he's a Baron. And Barons are just not that good. Even with Warp, which is very present on Alm's side, it's not like movement just doesn't exist. And movement isn't only useful for catching up with enemies, also for escaping with them. And I had a lot of trouble with this, because I teleported Luka once he was promoted with a Rider's Bane into a pack of Knights, into a pack of Cavaliers, and he got absolutely destroyed. Because the amount of damage they do, with them doubling all the time, and just the complete lack of any other possibility, because you are already locked into that battle, and you can't run away fast enough. Luka basically has to pick his battles very carefully, or else he gets destroyed. Still, he's a good Baron. And if you need pure tankiness, if you really build on Luka, he can do that job better. And for that, I think a high C tier, or even maybe a B tier. You know, he's better than Jesse. So it's probably Jesse that doesn't deserve to be on B. Yeah, it's probably Jesse that deserves to be in here, and Luka that deserves to be in here. Yeah, because Jesse, because Luka. Better than Deen? No, just like that. Okay, I know I'm switching a bit, but I want the final tier list. The final tier list is what's important. So yeah, Luka, just a solid unit. Would I recommend you to use it? Yeah, definitely. I think if you have the place for him in your army, Luka can do a very good job. His only disadvantage is that maybe by Act 4, you have good enough units to bench Luka. But for Act 1 and 3, he's going to be one of your best things to have. So I think he's just very good for what he provides, which is tankiness and damage. Next unit is more or less the complete opposite of Luka, except for one thing: he's also slow as balls, and that's Ryuto. Let me be a bit more detailed about that. It's not that Ryuto is slow, it's just that he's not fast enough. He wants to be fast, and he comes with a certain speed that allows him to double things like armors, but as time progresses his speed doesn't get better, so he's just locked there, and Sage Promotion doesn't give him any speed. He's a mage, well known for having access to Excalibur. Excalibur is basically his saving grace and everything he's aiming for. As a sage, he's not going to get anything crazy, just a normal recover, I heal you, that's it. So yeah, he just has to rely on Excalibur, critical. Cliff is able to do that job better, and I think even if Cliff needs to, get some investment to be a mage and get to that point, with Ryuto coming halfway through Act 3, a bit before getting Mathilda, it's fair to say that Cliff is a better mage than Ryuto, even if Cliff isn't always a mage and needs the investment. So yeah, Ryuto can provide some good combat though, and for the time he's in your army helping there, he will always be solid. Having a good mage is a good idea. Promotion is doable, unlike a female mage. So yeah, growth might not be the best, but he's a bit similar to Luka in that sense. He provides what he can provide and then he falls off and you forget he ever existed, and he's just thankful to be there and help you whenever you want it. Better than Luka, probably. Better than Luka for what he can provide on endgame with just healing. Not better than S, better than Deen. Better than Deen. Deen is a potential Dread Fighter Deen. I think yeah. Ryuto is just ready to go. That's his biggest thing. You get him, ready. Immediately you deploy him, you get into a map with a lot of armors and you can see Ryuto, if he gets lucky, get the criticals to be good enough to destroy anything in there. And then there's a lot of cavaliers and a lot of armors, and yeah, yes, Ryuto is going to do a solid job against them, and he will pile up enough experience to be able to promote by Fear Mountain or so. So I think that's solid enough to consider him over Deen. He doesn't have a lot more availability, but the availability he gets makes a big difference. So B tier, I think it's pretty fair. Not a lot of mages you get as ready to go as Ryuto. He's basically the only mage that doesn't have to be trained aside from Sonya. May is a mage that has to be trained, and at level 10-20 she won't be able to promote. Until level 20 she won't be able to promote, so promotion for her, if there's a female mage that has any possibility of promoting, that's May. And even if she doesn't promote, it's not like Boey has it much easier at level 12, so she does have the edge over Boey, with her growth being very offensive and her just getting, speed and attack. I did get very unlucky with her speed on my Iron Man, but still she gets Thunder from the very beginning, which means she can help you a lot on chipping enemies. Just a very solid unit, Now, she's better than Celica. I don't know if I would say she's better. Just because of the time she spends with you, I'm probably going to say she's better than Dyute. And Jessie. Well, they have to do it like this. I don't think... Wait, I did put Ryuto very high. Now that I'm seeing, the comparison between Ryuto and May, I definitely think May is better than Ryuto. I definitely think May is better than Ryuto. But I don't know if I would say she's better than Deen or Luka. Luka is just very solid. May needs a bit of investment to get going. But Ryuto over Luka is just right. Over Deen, yeah. So May... Yeah, May just needs some investment, and that makes her low enough. B tier, she isn't C tier. She's good enough to deserve to be on B tier. But I guess if I consider everything, I do think that Luthier is better than May. Because yeah, Luthier has less strength, less speed, less everything. But he has something that May will never get, which is the possibility of promoting, getting healing, and then being helpful on the late game. If you use May to the maximum, she's normally going to end up as a, 15 to 17 level? Still not promoting, and just does a lot of magical damage, but her best spells are weighting her down, so she doesn't really double anyone. She can be helpful against certain monsters, but she doesn't get Seraphim, so it doesn't one round. Well, Ryuto might be able to actually, with criticals from Excalibur do a better job. And he doesn't have any problem being weighted down because Excalibur is very, very light. So, yeah, I do think Ryuto is better. Who knew? Who knew you just learn new things about yourself? Promotion is really what's holding me back in Gaiden compared to Echoes. I find in Echoes when you promote her, getting the sword and being able to use the Lady Blade for the late game part of the story, basically just the last dungeon, makes her such a powerhouse in terms of dealing damage that it would justify her being over Ryuto for me. Maybe not even 8th tier, but just higher in here. But in Gaiden, with Gaiden being so dirty on female mages, yeah, she remains B tier. However, there is a female character that gets a very good treatment on Gaiden, at least in terms of gameplay, not plot. Did you know that every female character you recruit that doesn't join immediately in Gaiden is captured and you have to liberate them? Yes, so you have that in mind. Clair, Mathilda, Tatiana, Est. But yeah, Mathilda is a character that you have to liberate. You have to liberate in what's clearly the midpoint of Act 3 of Alm. Cantor keeps spamming terrors against her, and you continuously see that the terrors are not able to do anything against her, like she's surviving them easily, and you start thinking, wow, am I going to get that unit? And on the next map she comes and you give her a good weapon, and well, she actually doesn't do that well on the next map, but she's normally able to get enough experience so that by the end of Act 4, when you enter into Fear Mountain, you will be able to promote her into a Gold Knight. And promotion into Gold Knight does very good things for her, because she does struggle a bit with tankiness. Her HP can be a bit low, but her speed is very good, and a speedy knight is something that's just very valuable on Gaiden. Very, very, very valuable. The obvious comparison that everyone can help to do is Mathilda versus Clive, because they are even a couple in terms of plot. Is Mathilda better? Is Clive better? Clive comes early, Clive is slower, a bit tankier, but also is probably going to be ahead in terms of level if you train him. But Mathilda normally sports a pretty decent critical due to her luck and skill being high, but is also squishier, can sometimes have lower strength than you maybe want her to, but once she promotes to Gold Knight, she definitely has a better endgame. I think they are there, but it's true that Clive requires a bit more investment. Like a little bit, yes. The fact that with Clive you have to do a battle and then go back and cross a dungeon to promote him. In Gaiden, crossing a dungeon means unavoidable battles, and that's time you're losing just to be able to promote Clive. So maybe you want to wait until you have another one to promote, then you do more maps. I think Clive is normally not going to be over level 3 Paladin when you get Mathilda, so then the difference is basically 2 levels and some stats. I honestly think Mathilda is better. Even after all these years of mecha propaganda, he hasn't been able to convince me. I think Mathilda is better. Better than Kamui. Better than Kamui, definitely, just due to the movement being helpful, and probably better than Genny, because Genny on endgame does fall off quite hard because of her being so squishy. She's able to still physic you and all, but yeah. Between Cliff and Mathilda, that's where I'm having some trouble, because Cliff does require a lot of training, but I think the end result with Cliff is a monster, like easily comparable to things like Donnell in Awakening or stuff like that. A unit that makes you feel like it's unfair. And the thing is, Mathilda is kind of that, because, you know, she's at the same time dealing damage, dodging everything and tanking. but in a much more organic way, where you don't have to invest that much. She's just going to get it naturally. I think Cavalier Cliff would be very similar to Mathilda. So with that in mind, I'm going to put... Okay, here's what I have to decide. I'm going to put her over Cliff. Do I want to put Mathilda on S tier? Underarm. Or is the difference good enough that I can consider her like a very solid unit? I think not. I think for her to get to Gold Knight, you have to invest a lot. So even if Mathilda is widely considered to be, you know, perfect goddess of a unit, has nothing wrong going on with her, she does stumble a little bit when you get her first. Like, you have to invest a lot there. You have to invest, and if you invest a lot on Clive, he could turn out better, theoretically, even if I haven't really tried it. So Mathilda A tier, because S tier is, yes, I feel uncomfortable. That's for units that clear maps with ease. And Mathilda doesn't have the promotion as close as Catria or Palla, doesn't have the, you know, base power that Alm sports. So A tier, I think highest A tier is solid enough. Alright. This unit, I kind of forgot about him, even though he's pretty important. Mycen, the unit that tricks you into believing he's going to be the Jagen in Gaiden, when in the end he is more of a Goto, the late game archetype that joins, well, literally joins here for the final dungeon. He is a Gold Knight, which means no possible promotion. What you see is what you get. No need to train him at all. And to be honest, pretty solid unit. He can tank a bit, he can do a bit of damage. He's not going to solve your life, but he's definitely at least C tier, by virtue of, you know, getting a solid unit that you don't have to train. So yeah, I think that's good. Over Clair? Yeah. Over Celica, that's what I'm thinking. He's not over Jesse for me, so Delthea and Celica are the two characters I'm pitting him against right now. Delthea is a bit like him, to be honest. She comes with some bases, she doesn't rely on the promotion, she just does what she does, and you take advantage of that as long as she's around. And she's around for longer. So I think it's fair to say Delthea is better, even if the mobility is not there. It's not like you take great advantage of Mycen's mobility, because he just comes so late and into maps where mobility is not the biggest concern. Against Celica though, no, and the utility from Celica is also better than this. Yeah, Mycen there. You could even make an argument for Clair being better. I don't know, I guess I haven't used Clair that much compared to Mycen, which, you know, is a very easy unit to get to try a little bit at the very end. But yeah, Mycen over Clair. Mycen over Clair seems alright. And that's a 1-2 of old men with Nomah. Nomah is a pre-promo sage, the only one you get in this game. He has some healing utility and he has some damage utility with Sayete and stuff. With growths being so low in this game, Nomah having the fucking worst growths in the history of Fire Emblem isn't so noticeable anymore, because yeah, not everyone is going to grow. He's already a sage, he can heal and damage. So I found him to actually be a bit helpful. Not enough to feel like he's a good unit, but for a filler on endgame, he was just better than Mycen, so they are basically the same type of unit. Yes, Nomah is around for more time, but Nomah doesn't do as much as Mycen, I guess, because he joins on swamps where he doesn't do anything. Better than Clair? Better than Clair, yeah. Better than Clair, I can say. Better than Boey, definitely, and worse than Mycen. Yeah, okay. That's more fair. Mycen might be around for a shorter time, but at least he has some combat. Nomah basically doesn't have combat. He has chip. He has chip damage. He was able to do some things for me, but yeah, he's just around for very short amount of time. Also, recruiting him is a bit of a pain. Not that influences a lot, but yeah. That's good enough. That's good enough. There's Nomah. There's Nomah over Clair. I do think he brings more to the table than Clair. If you promoted Clair, would Clair be better on her side? She could maybe take care of some of the dragon, of the zombie dragons. Guess Clair is better. If you can promote Clair, I guess Clair is better than Nomah when you get Nomah. But for you to promote Clair, you're going to have to go through so much that, yeah, Nomah is still up her. Over her, sorry Clair fans, but I just don't, she just doesn't do damage. It's the Pegasus thing, they are fast, but when they don't do damage, it's just so disappointing. And speed is good, but 0 times 2 is still 0. Yeah, she's going to be there. Okay, now when Pegasi don't do damage, that's bad. When Pegasi do a lot of damage, even if they don't get to double, they are very good, and that's the case for Palla. Palla is the best unit in this game, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion. Comes at level 9, only needs 3 levels for promotion. Mila Temple is an easy promotion for her. She doesn't even need to rush it. But if you want her to be useful already for Mila 3, you can even just do Geese, and then before you go up to the Mila 3, you go down to the Dragon Shrine and you get the promo. And she's probably going to be level 12 already. Or you can promote her on the Dragon Mountain, like the weird Dragon Beach. I remember how it's called in Echoes, but I don't remember in Gaiden. Yes, very solid unit, easiest Pegasus to be able to reach Falconite. Falconites are absolutely broken in this game. They destroy enemies. Much tankier than Catria. She does struggle a bit with doubling certain enemies. By the end of the game, Catria might even be slightly better on combat, but what Palla is able to do and how early she's able to do it, she turns the Celica side from an absolute nightmare to a walk in the park, in my opinion. Like the combination of Palla and Catria, absolutely insane. The things Palla is able to tank early on are just, yeah. It's even a bit insulting to look at by other units, so yeah. Yeah, I think she deserves to be there. She deserves to be called the best unit in this game. I know some people prefer Catria. I think Palla is more solid. I think getting to promo so early is more solid. And I appreciate the tankiness. Tankiness for a flyer is something very unique that no one else is going to have. While Catria, and I know this is going to sound incredibly stupid, if you got Est to promote, she would be more similar to Catria. You're never going to get any flyer as tanky as Palla. So those are my reasons. If you like them, you like them, and if you don't, then I have others. Oh, Python. Python the Archer. Python the Archer joins at the same time as Force, which is basically just before the say thing. Python is a nutcase. As much as I like his character in Echoes, he has such a rough early game compared to Leon. And you don't really need an archer. And if you really need an archer, any of the villagers is probably a better archer than Python. So normally, I think he comes with an iron bow, and normally my strategy is, okay, give me that iron bow. I'm going to give it to my villager of choice, and yeah, there you go. You can try. Supposedly, he has good enough growth that he could become a good bow knight, and bow knight is a good class. But he's just so outclassed by every villager, and I don't see the point of bringing a lot of archers. Just 2 bow knights can be a bit too many at times. Like 2 bow knights that you are training consistently. I don't know. I think I actually got him to become a bow knight, and he was helpful, but I'm still a bit iffy on him as a unit. I definitely think he's not unusable by any means, but his early game is so rough that C-tier yes over Jesse. Worse than May, better than Jesse, that sounds okay. He's worse than Lukas, definitely, because he doesn't have that. He doesn't do anything until you are halfway through Act 3. And after that you start thinking, and this is with investment. You know? On the first dungeon, the dungeon with the gargoyles, after you get Mathilda, you could be promoting him into a sniper there. And then maybe into bow knight on the secret reign. So that's not a lot of utility you get out of him. Still better than Jesse, because I guess you could focus on him a lot more and get him to be a solid bow knight. But yeah, C rank is good. C tier. Alright, well, an easy one here. Saber. He's S tier, definitely. And I think underarm is also a solid place to put him in. Saber is the first mercenary you get on Celica's side. And he doesn't have to face any trouble at all. Like he's just, you know, Saber's late game compared to no, he still deserves to be there, but I think I'm going to do some changes at the very end. Saber, yeah, is just so solid at the very beginning, and then promotes and keeps being solid, and then promotes again and keeps being solid. Kills every mage in your way, solos most of the enemies you face. With the Blessed Sword, he's an absolute monster against terrors, and with the Brave Sword, he's an absolute monster against everything. He's better than Kamui. He's just a direct upgrade to Kamui. The few levels and the few chapters he gets over Kamui make a lot of difference, with him being your only hope to survive the boat maps. And basically also the one unit that consistently hopes for a promotion on the Dragon Shrine. The other ones have to really work for it. But Saber is just well on his way to become a Myrmidon. And Dread Fighter Saber by the end of the game, if you use him just a decent amount, is a fact. Iconic character Saber right here. Maybe not as solid as Alm over the whole game, so I think putting him under Alm is still good. And his mobility does struggle a bit once you start reaching the Sands and the Swamp, so I think the White Wings are better. But S tier all the way. And also, you know, dance with Saber with the... If you know, you know. Silque. or as we Fire Emblem fans like to call her, Warp. Silque has Warp. She can heal, she doesn't have Physic, but she has Warp. The only two characters that have Warp in this game are Silque and Tatiana. That's why player mobility is so much better on Celica's side than on Alm's side, because Alm has two possibilities for Warp, Celica has none. What does this mean? It means that Silque is one of the best units in the game, because the warping utility, considering Tatiana joins so late and doesn't even join with Warp, you would have to give her some kills with Seraphine to be able to get Warp. The utility with the Warp from Silque is insane, and it just stays so relevant through the whole game. Even if you struggle a bit to give her the kills with Nosferatu, she should be getting Warp by the end of Act 1, start of Act 3. And then once you have a Warp at the start of Act 3, it's like it's over. It's over because you can put anyone into any place, because Warp range is infinite, and you can do... Like, the way you play the game is completely different. It's unrivaled support that she provides. Still, we can't ignore the fact that Silque is not the best healer. She doesn't have Physic, she doesn't... If she had Physic, I would put her on S tier. But because she doesn't, and she just relies on warping, and then she can only warp one, over Cliff under Mathilda, and I'm going to already do this, which is what I was thinking. I think Mathilda I'm going to put on S tier. Yeah, because I think Mathilda is just too solid to not put on S tier. Silque highest on A tier. I also think that's very well deserved. Yeah, just an incredible support unit. It's true that she's not going to do anything else but healing and warping. If you ever get to be able to invoke Dread Fighters, I can tell you they aren't going to be that useful. Maybe against the witches on the very last map of the game, but that's about it. And they are going to bother you more than they help, so just by being able to warp, she's going to be solid up to the very last map of the game. What more can I tell you? Being a one-trick pony isn't a bad thing if the trick is very good. And then we have Sonya. Sonya isn't good. On Echoes, she's average at best. But on Gaiden, she's just... It disappoints me to say this, but she was just so bad, and I made such a bad decision by taking her over Deen, because I killed Deen just for the brave sword and all that. I killed him, I took Sonya, and man, she didn't do anything for me. She didn't do anything. She can't promote, she can't do a lot of damage. Delthea, Celica, May, all of them are better mages. Is she better than Boey? Yes. Yes, she is, but I can't in good faith put her over Clair. She's just not a good unit. And the fact that you have to pass on a mercenary to get her, yikes. Not good. Like, you just have to pass on a B tier unit to get her, so yeah, I have to put her there. Boey is just, Boey needs the investment, so Boey will be able to catch with her, maybe, and he does provide some utility, but Sonya, while she can do some combat, it's not enough. It's not enough. She doesn't have the utility, she doesn't have anything interesting going for her. Getting a filler mage is not good. I would have taken a filler anything. Your first cavalier in that run, even a filler armor. Well, no, a filler armor would actually be trash. She's not good. Let's just leave it at that. Alright, Tatiana. Easily one of my favorite characters in this game, and easily one of my favorite units in this game. She comes with physic, she can learn warp, and getting her there is not that difficult. It will happen for very late game, but you can get it. And yeah, if you use Seraphine in strategic ways to take care of terrors and stuff like that, she can be very helpful on Alm's side. It's true that to recruit her you have to take a detour, but if you don't take the detour you will have to battle both Kamui and his ally on one of the maps. Zeke, I mean, sorry. Oh, spoilers. Overall, I think recruiting Tatiana is normally a good idea because she's a very helpful unit, a very solid unit that provides incredible amounts of support. More than Genny? No. Because Genny is there from the very beginning, but just comparable due to her having the possibility of warp. They both have physic. Genny sticks for longer time, she has warp later down the road. I think they are more or less the same, except, you know, Genny is longer and Tatiana is... Genny is there for longer and Tatiana is better. That's basically it. And being for longer gives you a slight edge over being better, in my opinion. Yeah, she's just, you know, the pre-promo Saint, has a bit more movement. I gave her a Blessed Shield, and she can actually enemy face terrors, and that's just an incredible thing to do. I think she doesn't even have Nosferatu, she just has Seraphine on base. So she just spams Seraphine on everything, and oh, and she can also get Fortify. Yeah, definitely deserves to be here with Fortify. Alright, I don't think, yeah, putting her over Genny, no, and she's better than Kamui. This is just a very solid play, very easy to place her. Tobin. The worst of the villagers, in my opinion. Is stuck in an uncomfortable place between Grey and Cliff. Grey is solid enough to have a good early game and have a promo that makes him very good. And Cliff has a very weak early game, but if you train him, he becomes the strongest of them on late. Tobin wants to be early game, but he's not there with Grey. Has some things going on for him for the long run, but they definitely can't even compare with Cliff. He has very good base speed, but very poor growth. So technically, if you promote him into a mercenary, you're just wasting that base speed. So a classical use for him would be to either become an archer or a mage. As a mage, he has physic on late game, and that's basically the best thing I can say about him. He gets Excalibur, he does a bit of damage, and then on late game he has physic and he's set for, you know, supporting you a little bit. And as an archer he will be an average archer, but with enough base speed that, you know, maybe on the long run he can compare as a bow knight to Leon or so. And comparing to Leon I think is a fair thing. For the training he needs, under Leon is good enough. He is better than Ryuto as a mage because his stats are slightly better and access to physic is just very good. I think that's a good place to put him in. B tier for this villager. I've never regretted using Tobin or investing on him. It's just he's not an excellent unit, he's just there. So in that sense he really reminds me of Ryuto as a mage, just with some tweaks that make him like an improved version of Ryuto. And there's only 2 units remaining, and one of them is on the cover of Gaiden. Yes, I'm talking about Valbar. Because, you know, Gaiden was the first Fire Emblem to feature in its cover 3 lords, the guy with the sword, the armor knight with a heart of gold, and the girl. That's right, it was Gaiden, not FE7. Valbar. Valbar is a knight, and a knight is supposed to tank physical damage. And he does so for like 2 chapters, and then the mages start coming in. Valbar doesn't have the movement, and then we go into the desert and Valbar can only move 1 square. Then we go into Gise's thing where he can tank a little bit but not enough. Valbar is at risk of getting 1 rounded at any time in any map that contains a witch, because a witch will be able to teleport behind him and nothing personal. So he's bad. There's no getting around it, he's bad. I don't think Valbar is absolutely unusable, like I don't think he's F tier. He does come as a knight, so he doesn't need investment, that's always a big thing. I still think that he's one of the worst units in this game. I'd put him here. I think Boey provides more with the early game, and on the long run Boey can be better. You could make an argument for Atlas being better than Valbar. If you are shouting at the screen right now, no, why is Atlas F tier and not this guy? Yes, you know, he's ready to go. That's all my argument. He comes earlier and he's a knight. Are you going to really argue for Atlas, who has to get trained as a soldier to later become a knight and then hope to become a baron by the end of the game? Getting baron Valbar is probably easy if you put your mind into it. It's just he struggles a lot with the type of maps that Celica has. But he is tanky, and for pure tankiness, he is just there. I actually got 3 resistance levels on Valbar and like 4 speed levels. On my run I was incredibly lucky. He was still not the best thing ever, so yeah, let's just leave Valbar there and accept that he's a better character than he's a unit. Because as a unit he can be pretty boring once you pass a certain point. And we finish with the C. With the Z. The Z. How do you say? I know Yankees and British, they say it in a different way. I say Z normally, but I know some people say Z. Zeke. Zeke, aka Kamui, aka Sirius, aka the man with the jazz hands. Solid endgame unit, solid endgame filler that comes as a gold knight and is everything that Mycen would hope to be. Just incredibly powerful, fast enough to double most enemies, and with a good enough growth that maybe he will maintain that status for the rest of the game. If he gets weighted down, he can still do some good jobs, so he is, curiously enough, a very good user for the Gradibo, which is Kamui's personal weapon, or the weapon that Kamui is always related to during the Fire Emblem series. Yeah, Zeke is just very solid. Even though he comes late, what he provides by the time he comes is so valuable that I always find myself using him, and he's honestly one of my favorite units to use on both Gaiden and Echoes. On Echoes he was just, I was surprised by how useful and ready to go he was. Being a gold knight is nothing to scoff at, because you need to put a big effort in to get everyone to gold knight by the Fear Mountain, and then casually comes this guy who's already a gold knight, who has comparable stats to any of them, comparable to Clive, and so I think better than Clive is mandatory for me, better than Kamui too. for overall battle capabilities. Over Camila? No. Over Tatiana? No. Over Tatiana, no, because Physic, Fortify, and Warp, that support is better than the combat that Kamui has. But there they are together. Together. Okay, so I think that's pretty fair. A tier for Zeke. I know it might be a bit higher than you are used to seeing him because I know I've checked at least on Meiko's tier list and I know they don't like Zeke as much. But if you really go through the game in a casual manner and without putting a lot of training into every possible unit, you're normally not going to have that many Cavaliers, and Zeke just feels a role that you're always going to have some use for, which is very good combat unit that can move very far and tank about everything. So I think putting him on A tier is fair. Okay, let me check this tier list. So next tier we have Palla, then Catria, then Alm, Saber, and Mathilda. All of them S tier units. I think this is fair to say. Any unit under them is like on a different kind of level. Saber is better than Mathilda, yeah, obviously. So is Alm. And Catria, Palla. Yeah, Palla better than Catria. Alm better than Catria is the only thing I'm... No, but the mobility is just too good. So that's S tier. A tier is going to be... Yeah, A tier is going to be Silque, then Cliff, then Genny, Tatiana, Zeke. Okay, and then Clive and then Grey. I honestly think Grey is a bit like he shouldn't be here. Because all these units bring something unique or are able to do very good things. Grey just isn't there. So I'm going to put Grey down in here. Grey, then Leon, then Tobin, then Est, then Ryuto, then Deen, then Lukas, and then May. I don't know if I like this tier so much. I definitely like it up until this point, up until Est. Then these units I don't know, like they are inferior to Est, in my opinion. Except for May. So if I want to put May... Yeah, May is over Lukas and over Deen. Yeah, I think May is over all these people. I think over Tobin, yeah. For what she provides, even with the physics from you, the damage from May, yeah. I think I want to put May here. Because I'm thinking, and May has very good spells, she has Aura, she has Thunder. In terms of dealing damage with a mage, you really can't get better than May. And it's true that promotion is never going to get there. But she's still doing better than Tobin with, you know, less investment because she starts as a mage. So slightly less investment, incredible availability, better than Ryuto. I don't know what I was thinking. She's better than Ryuto. I don't know. That was a mistake. Still, Ryuto here, then Deen, no. Yeah. This and this. Okay. And then we have Python. Python and Jesse. Python over Jesse. Yeah. Delthea, Celica. The two old guys. The filler units and Clair. Yeah. And then bad units and horrible units. Okay. I think that's a pretty solid tier list. Took me a while to complete it. I was planning for this to be an hour-long video. I think it's going to be closer to a 3-hour-long video. Great, more content. So yeah, I don't really know how to finish this. I hope you enjoyed this tier list and I hope you agree with me with most of the placement. If you don't, then I would appreciate if your reasons were better than just you can't put Est on B, she's very strong, or you can't put Palla on S because if when she got attacked by an arrow, she got killed on my Let's Play. Maybe add something more to it than that. Aside from that, yeah, I don't know what to say. I think the result has been pretty good, and I'm actually going to save it. That's going to do it for this video. If you liked, then consider liking, subscribing, leaving a comment, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye.